Alright everybody, welcome back, and yes, Japan finally has a rank 8 premium of their own. This is something I have seen a lot of people asking about, and it is the F-2A ADTW. If you watched my F2 video, essentially what Gaijin did with this is make it the F2 early that I was talking about. This gives you a battle rating of 13.0 and a kind of mixed bag kit, and we'll get onto that here in a little bit. So if you aren't familiar, the F2 is essentially a domestic Japanese variant of the F-16. It was made to replace the F-1, hence the name, and the mostly anti-shipping role, and so because of that, they had to increase its carrying capacity. Their solution to do this was to give it, much bigger wings, 25% more wing area, and also an extra pair of wing pylons. This means you get access to up to 8 missiles. And at ARB, you're going to be looking at running 4 the AAM-3s, which you see me using right here, and 4 the Sparrows as well. This is the exact same kit as the F-15J that you find at the same battle rating in the same tree. If there's anything that really makes this thing stand out, though, it's the flight performance. Now, I do want to preface this by saying that I do think that the F-15's flight performance is probably a bit better for ARB, and I'll get onto that here in a second, but the F-2 has some absolutely incredible dogfighting capability. It's actually the second best jet in the game for dogfighting. The only thing that will beat you in a 1v1 dogfight, and assuming equally skilled players, of course, is the Eurofighter. Used to, it was the Rafale as well, but it got nerfed this past week. So now, unless you are in a 14.0 match, literally any jet that you see, you can beat in a dogfight. Now, I do want to say that basically never happens in ARB. Gunshots like this are already rare at this battle rating, let alone actual 1v1 dogfights, and so I personally don't see it as that big of a deal. But if you are into dueling, or, if you just really like that every once in a while dogfight, maybe once in 30 games or something, I don't know, this is an advantage that the jet has. The reason that I think the F-15J is better, though, in terms of, flight model for ARB is two things, though. First of all, this is a slow jet. It has a lot of drag, and so you're only a little bit faster than the F-18. Now, is it enough to get around the battlefield? Yes, but it does also mean that a lot of the stuff that you see can simply outrun you. It also means, of course, that you're just simply going to get places later than others, and so you're going to lose out on a lot of opportunities to get kills because of that. The other thing is actually something I can show you, and that's the high-speed pull. Something I find very important for ARB is how fast you can snap the nose around. It helps both whenever you're trying to get an ACM lock for your radar, and of course when you're trying to get a gunshot, which, while rare, does happen. And that is something that the F2 is noticeably worse at. Now, some people are trying to get this changed, so if you're watching this a few months from now, you might want to check and see for yourself and see if this is actually still the case, but if I show them side by side, you can see just how mushy the F2's nose is in comparison to the F-15's. Now, it's not a massive issue, and the overall flight model is still incredibly enjoyable. Once you get into that turn, it turns incredibly well. It also has some very nice retention as well, so you're not going to be bleeding a ton of speed while you're doing that. So you're able to very effectively notch missiles without losing tons of speed. And there must be a reason why this thing is only at 13.0, right? And, well, yes, there is, and it comes in the form of the radar missiles. The best radar missiles this thing gets are the AIM-7Ms. If you've used these before, these are good Sparrows, but they are still Sparrows, and at 13.0, the Sparrow is well past its prime. Even at 13.0, and especially in the up tiers like the one that you're seeing right here, where I got a 14.0 match, you'll be sitting here fighting tons of jets that have active radar homing missiles that they don't have to actually guide themselves, while you have to stay nose on if you want your missile to continue tracking. So this means either stopping guiding your missile whenever someone launches at you and going into the notch, or trying to multipath like I'm doing right here, which is not exactly the most reliable thing. They're not completely useless in 14.0 matches. They will get you kills every once in a while, but they do definitely put you on the back foot. Whenever you get down tiers, on the other hand, the AIM-7M is quite an effective missile, in this 12.0, 13.0 lobby. Usually you're not going to want to launch them from nearly as far away as I'm doing right here, but I know this is an F-4S, and he does not get launch warning from any aircraft where they pull Doppler radar. So there's an incredibly high chance that he actually has no idea this missile is coming for him, so he flies in a straight line and just eats it. Most of the time you are better off shooting at, below 10 kilometers or so, though. That is when you're going to have the highest chance of the missile actually connecting. And again, I said a chance, because this is still a Sparrow. It's an incredibly easy radar missile to just not die to if you don't want to. It gets very easily notched and chaffed, And the hilarious thing is you don't even have to notch and chaff it. You may have noticed that I have zero fear charging straight head on into this F4S, and there's a reason for that. All it takes to kill the Sparrow is to simply roll. And no, I'm not joking. Here is a perfect example of this. I see this F-18 4 kilometers out shooting at me. I should be dead by all rights, but I just roll my plane and the Sparrow misses. He does not, and mine connects. He had the jump on me. He fired first. He still lost. And so really, getting kills with Sparrows, even assuming you get a full down tier, which isn't guaranteed, and we'll get onto that here in a little bit, is not guaranteed at all, because you can shoot at somebody and all they have to do is roll, and your missile will just completely miss. On the plus side though, you do have something to make up for your, let's just say, mediocre radar missiles. This comes in the form of some of the best IR missiles in the game. If you've watched my streams, basically every time that I use the AAM-3, you'll hear me say, I love the AAM-3, and it's very true. Essentially what this is an AIM-9M on steroids. Now, I do still personally prefer the PL-5E2 and the PL-8B for ARB purposes, but if you want a suspension IRCCM missile, there is no better missile in the game. Now, it doesn't really pull that much harder than the AIM-9M. It claims it's 40 Gs in the stat card, but it only pulls like ever so slightly more. The big benefit is in the increased range of the AAM-3. It has substantially less drag than the AIM-9M and a slightly better rocket motor as well. So you get like about half a kilometer of extra range on a rear aspect target at top speed on the deck. And of course, if you're shooting from above or from the side, it can be even more than that. And it makes a big difference. You can really feel it. It also technically has better IRCCM in the AIM-9M, but I mean, realistically, you're not going to notice a difference. And it also still just gets instantly spoofed by IR missiles like you just saw right there. There have been plenty of games, though, where most or all of my Sparrows don't hit, and my kills are coming from the AAM-3. It's a very reliable missile, so long as the enemy doesn't fire missiles of their own, because that just kind of ruins it. Just like any other suspension IRCCM missile, though, you are better off using its side aspect instead of front or rear aspect. Suspension IRCCM works by shutting off its seeker when it sees a flare, and the shortest exposure time to the flares is from the side. And you do have 120 single pop countermeasures, so you should really never be running out, plus you have one of the best radars in the game. It's an AESA radar. This plane has a lot going for it, and honestly, I really want to recommend this jet. Like, ignoring the price tag, which $80 is really too much to pay for any kind of pack in this video game, this plane is quite the solid pick for 13.0. Now, do I still think that the F-15J is better? Yes, but the F-2A ADTW is very close behind it, and it's a great pick for 13.0. The problem is, it's still 13.0. Now, admittedly, I will say, from my experience at least, Japanese 13.0 has a better matchmaker than some of the other 13.0s that I have played. But I was still getting a ton of 14.0 games, and in 14.0, this thing is just not competitive. You are going to have an absolutely miserable time fighting Rafales, fighting Eurofighters, fighting full teams of J-10As, F-15Cs, all the other strong 13.7s. Realistically, in those games, your Sparrows are going to be doing very little, so the only thing you really have is 4 IR missiles and your flight model. Is it doable? Yes, you can just kind of rat around, try to avoid any really direct engagements, but it's still not going to be very enjoyable. On the flip side, though, whenever you do get those 12-0 or 12-3 games, this thing is incredibly good, and you're going to be getting a ton of kills. And honestly, at this point, assuming the Matchmaker stays the way that it is, I think I can safely say this is a better buy than the F-4EJ ADTW. I do want to give some fair warning to my tankers, though. This is not a good plane for ground RB. Unlike the later F2, you don't have any laser-guided bombs. So those moving tanks that you're seeing right there, I cannot do anything to them. Now, you do get access to normal JDAMs like I'm using right here, which can hit a stationary target. And they just reduce the spread on GPS guided bombs, so usually as long as it's something like an AA, for example, that's going to be sitting there for a long time, you can use these against them. Most runs, though, I was just getting 1 or 2 kills, because most people move. You do also get the ASM-1 and ASM-2, but neither can target tanks. Gaijin added C-skimming logic to them, as you can see right here, so they actually hit ships now, but they also don't really do much damage to ships either. You might be able to kill a destroyer if you spam 3 or 4 at them. In any case, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do decide you want it for whatever reason, you can at least get 3% off, and my decal with the link in the description down below. It helps me out too as well. But hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll catch y'all next time. So, peace, y'all.